So tonight, half of the Bulls roster was out of the lineup with Zach Lavine, Nikola Vucevic, Coby White, Dosunmu, Patrick Williams, Jalen Smith, all being out. And then even Julian Phillips did not return to the game after halftime with a rib contusion. For a while, I thought I might even have a chance at making it out there on the court. But yeah, with 4 of the Bulls' 5 starters being out of the lineup, there's really not too much you can expect from them in this one, but they surprisingly held their own, especially considering the fact that the Bucks played their main guys for a fair amount of time, with Giannis playing 23 minutes, Dame 27, Brook Lopez, Gary Trent Jr., Bobby Portis, all of them saw a lot of floor time, and the Bulls actually maintained a pretty strong lead over the Bucks for a good portion of the game while going against their starters. But the Bulls ultimately came up short in a 3-point loss. Bulls got a little trigger happy towards the end of the game, chucking up a bunch of threes instead of finding better shots and flows on offense. But anyway, the things I like seeing in this game is we did get a bounce back performance from Buzelis. I was a little annoyed that he didn't start in this one with all the guys being out, but whatever, it is just the preseason. I was happy to see Phillips get the nod to start anyway. And Phillips looked great in limited minutes he played before getting injured, still finding that stroke from outside, but also cutting the basket and finishing at the rim. I mean, honestly, Patrick Williams has his work cut out for him in that starting power forward spot, because both Julian Phillips and Modest have shown up better than him thus far and have looked like they wanted it more and are playing with more confidence as younger players with less experience. But yeah, Modest tonight looked great. Still needs to work on his overall shot selection and efficiency on offense, but nothing really seems to phase this kid and shaking his confidence, where he was coming off a game in which he went 1 for 9 the other night. Tonight, he even had an air ball, a poorly missed sidestep 3, but then still came barreling down in transition on ensuing possession to finish with a floater. Most rookies just wouldn't have the confidence to keep pushing and putting up shots after some poor possessions. But with Modest, nah, he just continues to press on. And he hit 3 threes tonight, went 3 for 9 from deep, 5 for 13 overall. So again, not the most efficient, but what I like is his determination and aggression that he has on offense. You know, I mentioned before, I think it was after the first preseason game, the one good thing about Modest and his defense is his ability to stay with his man, be physical, and deter shots without fouling. Well, tonight, when going up against some of the best foul baiters in the league, in Giannis and Damian Lillard, it was a different story, and he committed a lot of fouls in the paint on drives to the basket and actually got fouled out of this game. But at the same time, I almost would rather have that than, say, Josh Giddey, the way he plays defense and just kind of moves out of the way and doesn't even attempt to stop the ball, which happened on a couple possessions tonight. With Modest, he's learning. These kind of things come with time, especially when guarding some of the best basketball players in the world. I am being a little hard on Giddey, though, by the way. He actually had some better defensive efforts in this game. I say effort because the defense is still pretty suspect, but he's at least trying, even going up against Giannis and trying to deter his shot. But more impressing from Giddey tonight, 3 for 4 from 3. Is this guy going to be able to shoot threes this season? Has Peter Patton unlocked Josh Giddey in being an outside shooter? Yeah, I'm not going to get ahead of myself there. It is just a preseason game after all, but 3 for 4 from 3, 4 for 9 overall from Giddey, 12 points, 5 assists, 3 rebounds in 22 minutes. But the biggest guy tonight for the Bulls, literally and figuratively, was no Vucevic, no Jalen Smith, no Phillips in the second half. Dosunmu got 33 minutes in a preseason game as the Bulls' only big man and ended up finishing the game with 16 points and 15 rebounds. It kind of reminded me of that meaningless game in the regular season last year when both teams were resting their starters. I think it was against the Wizards before the end of the season. And he put up like 20 and 22. I called it the Dosunmu game. I mean, Sanogo in a real NBA game, meaningful NBA game, not garbage time minutes either, is going to be a different story. That said, though, the Bulls don't really have much depth in the front court. And if they somehow trade Vucevic this season, I don't think it's going to happen, but if they do, you might need him. Maybe you convert his two-way contract into that full-time roster spot and give his two-way to another player. I don't think it's likely going to happen, but something that probably should be considered if you're the Bulls. And then, of course, we got to see Talen Horton-Tucker do what he does, score at the end of the game. He's definitely gunning for that last roster spot, which the more I watch Bidham, the more I think that last spot might actually indeed be up for grabs. And Tucker is making a case for himself and his ability to put the ball in the hoop. Might not always do it effectively or efficiently, but yeah, again, another 15 points on 10 shots in 18 minutes and got to the foul line 7 times. Something to be said about that. Oh, and we also got to see our first look at EJ Liddell and Kenny Lofton Jr., 2 other guys who were vying for that final roster spot. They looked decent, nothing to get too excited about, but they were active on the glass. They had 14 rebounds between the two of them in limited minutes, so good effort, good hustle. I still don't think they're going to be making it on this team beyond the preseason, but decent outings nonetheless. Also, I know some of the comments have asked, hey, where's Lonzo? I guess I just kind of assumed everyone knows the latest on Lonzo Ball, but then realized not everyone is a basketball sicko like me and follows everything that comes out about this team. So with Lonzo, earlier in this week, he actually mentioned he'll be playing in at least 2 of the final preseason games, and it was confirmed earlier today that Lonzo Ball will make his long-awaited return of nearly 2.5 years being away from the game, making that return on Wednesday in the preseason game against the Timberwolves at the United Center. If any of you are going to be at that game, we need to hear a huge ovation from Lonzo whenever he takes the court, as him coming back alone, regardless of how he shows up, is a feat in and of itself. I need to hear cheers when Lonzo comes into the game. Man hasn't played a game since January of 2022. But anyway, guys, of course, I'll have a post-game video out on that game on Wednesday. In the meantime, as always, be sure to subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next one.